चलिए, ये हमारा थर्ड लेक्चर है ना, फोर्थ है। अच्छा, तो क्या था लास्ट टॉपिक? व्हाट वाज द लास्ट टॉपिक? सिविल सर्विसेज में व्हाट वी वर डिस्कसिंग? सो मीनिंग, नेचर, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल प्रोविजंस, है ना, ये सब हमने कर लिया था। तो लास्ट हेडिंग क्या थी? पॉलिसी एडवाइजर्स टू गवर्नमेंट। सी व्हाट हैपेंस इज ना कि सही, यू आर अटेंडिंग दिस क्लास फॉर द फर्स्ट टाइम?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So have you watched the previous lectures?
No, sir, I couldn't able to navigate them.
Sorry?
I couldn't able to navigate through them, sir.
Okay. See, so in this, so you can also watch the previous lectures from YouTube, and or else you will get the access of the portal. Okay. So here we are discussing about the role of civil services. Okay. See, so the most important role of civil services is that in India, you know this very well, that mostly the politicians, so whosoever is the politician in India, they are not very educated, है ना? They know about the people, they understand the people, but they are not like technical people, है ना? They don't know about the legal jargons, they don't know about the technicalities of drafting a bill or doing that. So who suggests them? So I told you earlier also that there there is one prime minister. Prime minister has council of minister. Council of minister has several other ministries. In every ministry there is a department. Okay. So in every department there is mostly a civil servant who is generally the IAS officer, है ना? So what he do is he do he basically he has the responsibility of giving the technical advices to the ministers. Okay, the minister gives them the approval for doing any task, and then they provide the technical advice, like on how to draft the bill, or they themselves draft the bill. Okay, they basically technically modified the things according to the need. Okay, so write this: civil servants assist the political executive. Civil servants assists the political executives in decision making. In decision making. Full stop. They provide expert advice. They provide expert advice based on their experience and available data. Based on their experience and available data. So on the basis of their experience whatsoever they have, and hi Arya, so we are discussing about the role of civil services. Have you watched the previous lectures?
So I went through the first one, second one, and I still have to watch.
So you have watched the second one?
No, sir, first one.
Only first one. Okay, you can watch it. Okay, whenever you get time, please watch that lecture. And in the present class, we are studying about the role of civil services. So we are discussing about what the civil servant do. You know? So they advises the political representative. So there is one political executive and there is one permanent executive. The political executive is basically elected and then nominated. Okay, so prime minister and his council of ministers generally be there whenever they get the support of the majority in the Lok Sabha. There's the political one. They have a fixed tenure of 5 years. Okay, after that they have to again get re-elected. without which they will not be able to get the membership of the parliament. Okay, so here they are the political executive, but on the other side there is a permanent executive that be there for the entire tenure and is not like their tenure there is not dependent on the board. Okay, their tenure there is not dependent on the leadership in the Lok Sabha. Okay, they are not politically dependent for serving their tenure. So they are serving there, selected by UPSC generally and the State Public Service Commission, and serving there for a fixed period of time. Okay, for for which they have technical know-how. Okay, they have the technical know-how. They know the technicalities of, for example, drafting a bill. They have the expertise in the particular field, so they advises the political executive. Okay, so we have written that civil servant. So you also write, Arya. So put the heading policy advisors to the government, है ना? Policy advisors to the government. Policy advisors to the government. Right. Civil servants assist the political executives. Civil servants assist the political executives in decision making. In decision making. Okay. What's the next thing? So, right. They provide expert advice based on their experience and available data. Okay. They provide expert opinion based on their expertise and the available data. Okay. Also, right. Their main work is to analyze. See, whenever you have to implement any particular policy, you have to bring any particular policy. At that time, what you have to do is you have to first check the feasibility. Like, for example, Prime Minister Modi wants to do any particular thing. So the first thing is to check whether that thing can be done or not, whether it's feasible or not. So their main work is to check the feasibility, right? So, right, their main work is to analyze the financial, legal, and administrative feasibility. Financial, legal, and administrative feasibility, and to identify the potential risk and consequences of policies इनका काम है रिस्क को और पॉलिसीज के कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस को चेक करना, ठीक है, एंड टू चेक द कॉन्सिक्वेंसेस एंड रिस्क एसोसिएटेड विद इट. So also write one more point. The importance of civil servant is that they act as institutional memory of the government, है ना? देखो गवर्नमेंट में क्या, फॉर एग्जांपल बीजेपी केम इन 2014, before which there was Congress government. Now the work that was done by Congress government was only known to the people belonging to the Congress party and who were having some seats or some eminent post. Okay, but then when the BJP entered, so how will they get to know what was basically done in the Congress era? So they get to know by the help of these officers. Okay, IAS officers mostly. They assist the government in executing their particular task. Okay. Now, this was the second point, no? Now write the third ki policy implementers and administrative leaders. Policy implementers and administrative leaders. इसका मतलब क्या है? देखो, what is the meaning of this? So, like for example, there is a bill that came in Parliament. Okay, that came in Parliament. All right. Now from Parliament, now this bill is passed and has become an act. And has become an act. Okay, now this is an act. Now this act will be given to the particular ministry that is handling this particular task. From this ministry, this will go to the particular department which is there in the ministry itself. Okay. Now from the department, this particular, now this is the national department. For example, this is a policy related to finance ministry. Now from finance ministry, the particular task is the task of the ministry, the Department of Economic Affairs. Okay. Now this went to the Department of Economic Affairs. Now this is a national institution. Okay. Now from this, it will go to every particular state. Okay. It will go to every particular state. In every state, it will go to every district to get implemented. Okay. Every district. So now finally, this bill went to, from these channels, it went to the particular district, and in every district there is district magistrate. Now his or her responsibility is basically to implement this particular act which was passed in the parliament. Now the ministers here in the parliament themselves cannot go and implement this particular task in every district. The basic unit of administration in India is the district administration. So the district administration is headed by a district magistrate who is himself a civil servant. Now this civil servant will basically do everything to implement that particular task at the grassroots level. So, and will be assisted by several other district officers. All right. Are you all getting the point? Clear? Is it clear to all of you, Arya?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
Sai? Okay, all right. So now this is a chain that is there in India. Okay, so that is the main reason why, like, this civil servant stands to be the most important officers of the government, because ultimately the government machinery will be paralyzed. These district magistrates will not be doing their work, and ultimately they, like, they are, this position is also made very strong in order to even let them execute their work in a proper manner. Because if they will be always in a fear that they can be removed at any point of time from their service, yes, they have a fear that they can be transferred. At most, they can be only transferred, or an inquiry can be substituted against them, but they are appointed by the president and cannot be removed by any authority lower than the president. That is why they are having a very secure tenure. Okay. And that is the main reason why they are able to carry out the administration without as such fear or anything like that. Okay. So just write this, put the heading policy implementers and administrative leaders. Policy implementers and administrative leaders. Policy implementers and administrative leaders. Okay, write the first point. Right. Civil services play a crucial role. Civil services plays a crucial role in translating policies into actions. In translating policies into action. Okay, in translating policies into action. Now, right? The civil, next point में, the civil servants designs and implements the government programs, designs and implements the government's programs at the bottom level of administration. At the bottom level of administration. Okay, the next point. The civil servants ensures, you can also write CS, civil servant. For civil servant, you can write CS. The civil servants ensures the achievement of developmental goals. Ensures the achievements of developmental goals. Okay. And also ensures smooth coordination between different departments. Smooth coordination between different departments. Okay. Next point. They deliver the essential services such as health, education, etc. You know, we have also studied that at the district level, at the basic level, the head of the disaster management is also the district magistrate. है ना? So the district level actions for disaster risk mitigation are also coordinated by the district magistrate only. Okay. So, and one more point, right? The senior civil servants guides the policy execution, monitors the performance of the government welfare measures, and ensures accountability. राइटिंग सही करो मैडम. जल्दी लिखने में भी अच्छी लिखो, क्योंकि पेपर में तुम्हें क्या लगता है बहुत टाइम होगा. वहां क्या करोगे फिर? वहां तो इससे भी फास्ट लिखना होगा, तो बहुत दिक्कत होती है. हाथ भी दुख रहे होंगे, शरीर भी थका हुआ होगा, दिमाग में भी टेंशन होगी, दिमाग में ओवरलोड ऑफ इंफॉर्मेशन होगी, टेंशन होगी, एंजाइटी होगी, प्रेशर होगा. ठीक है. गर्मी तो चलो खैर नहीं होती है, लेकिन क्योंकि गर्मी में पसीना आ रहा होता है वो तो नहीं होती, मौसम तो ठीक हो जाता है तब तक मेंस तक. बट फिर ये सोचो ना कि वहां तो और ज्यादा होता है. अगर यूपीएससी के मेंस एग्जाम की ऑप्शनल और ऐसे के साथ चारों जीएस, एक लैंग्वेज और दो ऑप्शनल, इनकी कॉपीज को एक साथ मिला दिया जाए ना, तो इससे लिटरली एक किताब पब्लिश हो सकती है. इतना लिखा जाता है. तो इसीलिए जो है ध्यान रखो कि अभी से प्रैक्टिस हो. तो अब देखो, now whenever we say that the government must be accountable, so the basic, like the minimum level of accountability comes from the civil servants only, है ना? Because a policy is whether rightly implemented in the district or not is basically checked and monitored by the district magistrate. That is the civil servant only. So the civil servants are mainly held accountable if anything wrong went there. Okay. So now write one more thing. Put one more heading, that is maintainer of stability and continuity. Maintainer of stability and continuity. I've explained you this point already. So now, for example, 2014, I told you that like Congress went away and BJP came to power. Okay, every second or every leader from in the Council of Ministry was from BJP only, and some few were from the other parties who were in coalition with BJP. So now all of a sudden the Congress went away and the BJP came. So at this time we can see that like there was a complete change of the government. Now, how will BJP get to know, or the leaders of BJP will get to know that what measures were there at place? Because see, the policies do not change all of a sudden. A classic example is the RTI Act. RTI Act came in 2005 and is still surviving. You know, Food Security Act came in 13 and is still there. So that means कि जो policies which were there, which were made by Congress and implemented by Congress are still at play. So how BJP leaders got to know? And for example, at any point of time, if for example there is instability, no government is forming, there are again elections are happening. At that point of time, the government cannot come to a halt. Okay, the government cannot stop from working. Okay, so then carries out the work of the government? So that is the civil servants only. है ना? They maintain the stability in the administration of the country. They maintain that stability. So write this thing. Civil services acts as a stabilizing force in the governance. Acts as a stabilizing force. है ना, वो क्या करते हैं, स्टेबलाइजिंग फोर्स का काम करते हैं. ठीक है, राइट. इन द नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, they ensures the continuity in the governance despite a change in the political leadership. They ensures the continuity in the governance despite a change in the despite any political change. है ना, कोई भी चेंज आ जाए, but they will ensure the continuity. Next point, they handles the crisis and any kind of administrative disruption. क्राइसिस कोई भी आता है या कोई भी डिसरप्शन आता है, they handles that. Okay, and maintains the utmost required trait, that is neutrality. That is neutrality. Utmost required trait, TRAIT, that is neutrality during the times of conflicts. During the time of conflict. ठीक है, कोई कॉन्फ्लिक्ट आता है तो उस समय if BJP and Congress both are fighting for power, at that time the utmost right of the civil servant is to be neutral, not to favor any political dispensation. Now you will say that they favors the political parties. Yes, I also know that now Samrat Chaudhary became the Chief Minister of Bihar. Several civil servants there are going to be transferred, and many have already been transferred, because now the government is the government of BJP. Okay, but I would say that yes, they might have some inherent tendencies to come close to a particular political party, but still in the open, in the public domain, or while executing their task, they are bound by the constitution, and being bound by the constitution and the proper codes of civil services, they have to profess neutrality. They cannot be openly in favor of any political party. They cannot openly support any political party, okay? Because there are foundations which they have to follow, right? So, write the next point, like up next main likho, main wala. Regulators and facilitators in market economy. See, what was happening earlier, like I would say majorly before 1990s, these civil servants were the provider of services. Just to give you an example, how were they the provider of the services? Earlier, have you heard about two telecom providers? One is MTNL and BSNL. Have you heard about them? Mahanagar Telecom Nigam Limited and Bharat Sanchar Nigam Limited. They were the complete government bodies, you know? They were complete government bodies, and what they were doing is, they were basically as a part of the government and majorly controlled by the civil servants, run by the civil servants. They were providing the telecom services to the people. Earlier, they were the provider of the services, but now what has happened is, now but now when we talk about the present time, now their direct role has reduced. They are not the direct provider of the government services, but now what are they doing? They are facilitating and regulating these services. Now, for example, earlier BSNL was itself headed by a civil servant and was providing the telecommunication services. But now there are other providers, Vodafone, Idea, Airtel, Jio. So these are the major players. And the work of the civil servant now is to regulate and facilitate these bodies by the help of, for example, TRAI, Telecom Regulatory Authority of India. Now civil servants are the head of TRAI. They are regulating the providers, the private providers, but not directly providing the services. They themselves are not providing the services to the large number of people, but they are facilitating the providing of services. Taking the example of airlines, Indigo, earlier Kingfisher, Akasa Air, ठीक है, और now तो आपका वो कौन सा रेड वाला कौन सा है वो एयर इंडिया. All these are private bodies, but ultimately are controlled by DGCI. नहीं, हाँ, क्या है? Director General of Civil Aviation, DGCA. So now, and who is the head of DGCA? IAS officer, civil servant, है ना? So just write this. With the economic liberalization, comma, the role of civil servants has evolved. The role of civil servants has evolved. Full stop. From being the provider of the basic services comma, the civil servants are now acting as the regulator and facilitator. और गवर्नमेंट का एक नारा है मिनिमम गवर्नमेंट मैक्सिमम गवर्नेंस. So they have reduced these bodies and have increased the regulatory role to maximize the governance. Okay, and this is in sync with the government's initiative of minimum government maximum governance. Minimum government maximum governance, है ना? Is this clear? So ऐसे और लिख लो कि next point. Now the function of the civil servants is to regulate the markets. Is to regulate the markets, comma, ensure fair competition. Ensure fair competition, comma, to protect the public interest of the people, to protect the public interest of the people, and also to promote the ease of doing business, and also to promote the ease of doing business. And also to promote the ease of doing business. ठीक है? तो ये clear है? Is this clear? Any problem from this?
No, sir.
In your answer, you can also add one more thing. Now, earlier, what was happening? See, because earlier the things were not very technical in nature. Earlier, the market was very general in nature. The market was not highly internet based. It was not overburdened with the technicalities. So that was the main reason why the earlier civil servants were more generalized in nature. They were not expected to fulfill the technical tasks. Okay, they were not expected to do the technical duties. But now we have seen that by the gradual evolution of the internet, by the gradual evolution of the internet based services, we can say this thing that now what is happening is now the civil servants are expected to do the technical things. So then the government has introduced what? The government has now introduced Karma Yogi. So write this, right? Put the heading competency based civil services, and in bracket you can write mission Karma Yogi. Competence based civil services. Competence based civil services. In bracket write mission Karma Yogi. ठीक है? So लिखो इसको, right? The objective of this mission is to transform the civil services into a future ready. The objective of this mission is to transform the civil services into a future ready, comma, citizen centric citizen-centric workforce. Okay, so citizen-centric workforce. So, all right. So, what are the key features of this? Put the next point. The most important feature of this mission is to make the civil servants ready for the upcoming technical challenges. To make the civil servants ready for the upcoming technical challenges and complexities of the new administration. Right, the next point. The civil servants are expected to become professional and efficient. Civil servants are expected to become professional and efficient. Transparent and accountable.
So can you please repeat this line again?
Sorry?
Can you please repeat the line?
Yes. So civil servants are expected to become professional and efficient, transparent and accountable. Transparent and accountable, technology enabled. Technology enabled. Innovative and proactive. Innovative and proactive. And ethical and service oriented. And ethical and service oriented. Okay. So their main task is to now write next point. So by this mission, the objective is to move the civil services from rule-based to role-based governance. Okay, write the next point. This focuses on continuous learning and skills development. Continuous learning and skills development, and to enhance the efficiency and responsiveness. And to enhance the efficiency and responsiveness. Okay? So, and even I'm making you write some key characteristics of Indian civil services. So you can write here like this. Key permanence, political neutrality, anonymity, hierarchical structure, rule based functioning, ठीक है, commitment to public services, commitment to public services. So you can mention this that the Indian civil services is mostly expected to maintain the political neutrality, not to incline to any political party whatsoever be. They have to basically maintain permanence, or they maintain permanence because once they are appointed and they get into the civil services, it's very less likely that they will be removed. Okay, even you have seen that last time we saw the case of one um, officer who was in training. So I don't know who, Pooja Kelkar or something like that. Kelkar, or do you remember the name? हाँ है ना, this something Pooja Kelkar or something. So like very serious allegations were there against her, but still it was not that she was removed from the services. It didn't happen like that. Okay, it's very less likely that they will be removed from the services. And yes, they are also expected in the ethics. You will study this in detail, but yes, they are also expected to maintain anonymity. Whatever decision is taken will be labeled as a decision taken by the government, but not by that public servant who has drafted that. It is not that we never hear about any name of any public servant who has drafted the bill or who has basically given technical advices or assistance to the political minister. We don't hear the name of any such person, right? So that means कि civil services may anonymity is a major characteristic feature, right? Anonymity must be basically committed, है ना? So they must be committed to anonymity. Okay. Next is there is a hierarchical structure. There is always a hierarchy which has to be followed. Next, there is rule-based functioning. So as I told you, they will be doing their duty as per their act under which their service is regulated, and also to the constitution. There must be rule-based services, nothing else than that. Okay. And also there must be commitment to the public services, ultimately for whom they are doing everything, for whom they are appointed, and for whom they are selected. So it is the people only, right? So for the people they are appointed. So for the people they have to basically take care of it. Okay. So this is it. Now we will be understanding about the major issues in public services, right? So put a major heading, major issues in public services. See, you know one thing, that civil services in India is called as the backbone of governance, right? They are the backbone of governance. But despite being the backbone of governance, there are challenges. Okay. So there are challenges at, I would say, structural level, at institutional level, or at several other levels. Okay. So at several levels, there are several challenges. So you can introduce it like this, that civil services, despite being the backbone of the governance, civil services, despite being the backbone of the governance, faces several structural, you can also write behavioral, structural, comma, behavioral, structural, comma, behavioral, and institutional challenges. Institutional challenges. There are several challenges like this, right? So, right, also right. These issues affects the efficiency, neutrality, and public trust. है ना? Affects the efficiency, neutrality, and public trust. And public trust. Okay. So the first and the most important challenge that is faced by the civil services is, right, erosion of neutrality and interpolitical interference. So what is happening is that here the nature of the problem is like there is always an increasing political interference. Okay, every single time the permanent executive tries to take any decision, there is always a command from the political executive, right? So whenever any decision is taken that is not according to the will and caprice of the political person, the minister, so at that time always, I would say, like, for every action of civil servant, there are three things that happens as a result of that. Okay. The first thing is, if the decision taken by the civil servant is not in accordance with the wish of the political executive, then transfer happens. Okay. The person is transferred to any other post. And now, for example, if that civil servant is just recently married, the civil servant just recently got married or basically having a settled phase of life. So now it's very difficult for them to again relocate to any other one place. Now, if for example they will be posted to the border district or to any Naxalite prone area, then it is very difficult for them to live there actually. Okay. So one person I saw in news, he got posted in Nagaland. Now ultimately he resigned. The second thing by which I would say, first thing is transfer, right? The second thing, if it is done in accordance with the action of the political executive, then their actions are rewarded by promotions. Now, giving promotion to one is not wrong, but the wrong thing comes when that person is given the promotion for the wrong reason. And that discourages the another civil servant because they got the promotion for doing nothing and I got nothing for doing everything. This is the mindset that comes. And if they are not able to get the civil servant posted, they set up inquiry against them, they suspend them. Suspension. this happens, right? These are the major obstacles to the delivery of their duty. Okay, just wait for 1 minute. I'm just coming in a minute. Okay, 1 minute. तब तक एक बार just revise whatever I just told. So for whatever I told, write this. Heading लिखिए ना. So right. There is a growing influence of the political executive, the growing influence of the political executive in transferring, comma, postings and promotions of the civil servants, which sometimes exhibits the political biasness. ठीक है. Next point. This weakens the impartiality. This weakens the impartiality this weakens the impartiality and undermines professionalism that leads to the subordination of bureaucracy. Now the next challenge there in the civil service is a debate that goes on. Now the debate is, now for this debate I would like to know your opinion also. So everyone be prepared with at least one point. So just tell me, like the name of the debate that goes on is generalist versus specialist debate. Okay, generalist versus specialist debate. See, the thing here is that it is now because of the changing circumstances and changing the, like, because of the changing complexities of the administration, it is often said that an IAS officer is a generalist. You can also infer this from the nature of the examination that is conducted for selecting the IAS officers. That is, it is mainly general. Everything under the sun is included in uh, the syllabus and everything. So a person who has to be the IAS officer or who is the aspirant here for the civil services must know something about everything. They must not know everything about something, because if you will know everything about something, you will become a PhD scholar or you will do the PhD. But now if you will know something about everything, then only you will be able to become IAS officer. So for becoming IAS officer, it is required that you must know something about everything and you become a generalist, not a specialist. So, but the emerging sector like energy sector, like environment sector, it demands some sort of specialization. It demands some sort of specialization. So you all tell what in your opinion what should be there. The IAS officer must be specialist or they must be generalist only. Tell. You tell.
And if it comes to specialization, then there are people being a specialist.
Very good, very good. You tell now, you people online, बताइए. Sai, Arya, tell.
Sir, he must be a generalist is first because IAS is a veracity of his duty can be transferred to anywhere, just like your previous version, like erosion. In the case, this transfer is quite common. So you may not know where we're going. If you are a specialist, there will be a hook hold, but it will be a very minimalistic cases. So if being a generalist, it's gonna give veracity in his job, but as he grows senior, he must become a specialist.
Arya?
So I agree with what everyone's been saying till now. What I heard that if initially you have to be a generalist in order to understand what each department does or what's everyone's role, and what is say if I'm an IS officer, what's my role in general. I need to understand that, but eventually, if as an IS officer grows senior, then they have to have a specialist attitude where they know their department or their particular job the best, and like no one can touch them on that. So eventually it has to be specialist, but when you're in a learning phase initially, then they have to have a generalist approach.
You all are becoming very diplomatic. Why so? Being diplomatic, starting with generalist and moving towards specialist. Nice, you should be. But in my opinion, as far as it's concerned, they must be generalist. Sorry, specialist. See, because earlier it was happening that by interdepartmental, like shifting was a necessity. So because if the selection earlier, like back then before 1990s, was just for specialists, so there like must have come the problem of like selecting, how to select them, how to organize a single examination for 8 or 10 posts for a particular department for specialization. But now there are hundreds of officers just posted in one single department, but still they all lack such kind of specialization. So that is a problem now. And now, because of the lack of speciality in every officer, there is inefficiency in policy formulation. The policies that are being formed now that targets particular audience is not reaching them actually, and the problem is ultimately not always in implementation. We always study that there always is a problem of in implementation, but we can tell many examples where there are several loopholes in the policy itself. The reason being it is not drafted by a specialist person who had all kind of expertise in a single domain. And see, there is a power imbalance. Now, if you see that the IAS officer are not always willing to take help from the specialist team because they consider themselves as superior. They think that if they will, like, their attitude is in such a way that if they will take help from someone, then in that case what will happen to them is that they think that their authority will be lowered by that. So always there is no attitude of, I would say, consultation, you know, that is lacking. And one more problem is that now, for example, there is a civil aviation ministry, and in civil aviation ministry, it is highly required that a specialist person who know all the technicalities of civil aviation must be posted, and there is a reluctancy to change this attitude, and that is the main reason why the present government has brought the concept of lateral entry. What is the concept of lateral entry? The concept of lateral entry is this only, that the person who has all the expert knowledge in a particular domain after serving the private field for let's say 35-40 years, now they will be entering in the civil services domain, so as to so that the government can take help of their experience. So There is a need for lateral entry, and this only shows that there is a need for specialization. Okay, specialization is the need of the time, I would say. That is actually now in civil aviation department, there is increasing over dependency in the outside person, increasing over dependency. Now everything done, every decision taken by the civil aviation ministry is highly by the advice of the outside, not from the person who is inside the government, because the people who are inside the government don't know much. And it's not always good to be over dependent on the person outside the government, because they will use that particular means for uplifting their interest, right? And even, like, I would say that there is reduced effectiveness also. The effect of the decisions that are coming is not always that good, है ना? And one advice to all of you is that if you really feel, see, if the question is asked what you support, now in case study also, if you feel something, because I know that by your conclusion, I can sense that you all are having the tendency to tell that yes, specialization is required. From all your answers, you are agreeing on the point that yes, specialization is required. Then if specialization according to your opinion is required, then why is it just to stick to generalization? Yes, some posts can be there for the specialization, the generalized team, but several posts must be there for specialized officers also. Like for example, the pre for IAS and like for the UPSC CSE and for Indian Forest Services is same. But then Forest Services required specialization, so the paper is separated now. है ना? So the same way we can do this also, that we can separate several roles for several specialized departments so as the specialist can enter them. This is the need of the time, and conclusion never means compromise. Just understand, students, compromise must not be there in your conclusion. Your conclusion must be having a bone. That means it must be having a stance that you are taking, you want to take. Conclusion never means compromise. Why you are compromising? If you feel that specialization is required, just write the problem being faced due to generalization and then suggest specialization. Tell that yes, specialization is the need of the hour. ठीक है, तो लिखो इस बात को. The civil servants are largely generalist in India. हाँ, special generalist versus specialist debate. So right, the civil servants are largely generalists in Indian governance, Indian administration. ठीक है, right? They lack the expert domain in the recently emerging. They lack the expert domain in the recently emerging. Complex sectors such as energy, defense, and civil aviation. ठीक है? Next point, right? The major consequence of this is inefficiency in policy formulation. Full stop. There is a growing dependency on external experts outside the government on persons outside the government, external experts, you can write. Right? And there is reduced effectiveness in the specialized roles. Now, if you still feel that yes, generalized officers are still required, then you can also write this thing that the policies see are not, sometime what happens, some policies are not independent. Okay. So if a policy is affecting the women and child, then that policy has also to be interlinked with various other ministries. And that is the reason why some generalized officers are also required, but at the same time, there is an increasing trend the specialist must also be at place. Right? Because see, civil aviation ministry cannot be separated from energy ministry because energy dependence is high there in the civil aviation ministry. Now, civil aviation ministry can also not to be separated from the, I would say, the Ministry of Economic Affairs. है ना? So it is mostly intergovernmental or interministerial coordination is also required. Yes, we do agree with this particular point, but yes, specialized officers are required. Now the next problem that is faced by civil services, corruption and lack of accountability. Right? Corruption and lack of accountability. So see, there is, ये तो कुछ है ही नहीं इसमें बताने वाला. There is always a incidence of corruption at all the levels, है ना? Right? The major problem is that there is huge corruption, at various administrative levels. At various administrative levels. Next point. There is a weak disciplinary mechanism. There is a weak disciplinary mechanism. कहाँ थी ये बॉटल? अच्छा, मैं ढूंढ रहा था इसको, रख दो. Weak disciplinary mechanism and delayed or absent punishment. Delayed or absent punishment for the instances of corruption. ठीक है? पनिशमेंट के लिए जल्दी होती नहीं, जल्दी पनिशमेंट मिलती नहीं. ठीक है? लिखो. Next point. The problem due to this is the erosion of public trust. लोगों का विश्वास उड़ जाता है ना? अरे क्या ही हो जाएगा, हम इन ऑफिसर की कंप्लेंट कर भी लेंगे तो भी इनका कोई क्या ही उखाड़ लेगा, है ना? इरोजन ऑफ पब्लिक ट्रस्ट, कॉमा, पुअर सर्विस डिलीवरी, पुअर सर्विस डिलीवरी and misuse of authority, misuse of authority, है ना? एक और बहुत बड़ी प्रॉब्लम है, colonial mindset and colonial mindset and my बाप attitude, है ना? See, there is a very big thing that there is still the growing, like, or already established, abhi bhi aaj bhi there is already a established colonial mindset in the administration in India. दिमाग में हमेशा यही रहता है कि ये कोई बहुत बड़े लोग हैं, है ना, ये ऑफिसर, अरे द ऑफिसर इन द मॉडर्न टाइम मस्ट बी अप्रोचेबल, लोग उनको देखकर उनके पास आए, ना कि उनकी गाड़ियों से दूर भागे. They must be close to the people at their heart. आज भी दिल्ली में आप खड़े हैं या कहीं पर भी आप देखिए कि यूपीएससी की तैयारी करने वाले aspirants preparing for UPSC exam are mostly from the Hindi hard state, like UP, Bihar, MP, है ना? Why so? Why are they from these states only? It is not that now some people argues that there is more level of poverty here in these states, in some part of these states, but I would say that in several other states, for example Maharashtra, in the Vidarbha region there is a lot of poverty, underdevelopment, but still the aspirants coming majorly from these states only, है ना? Why so? Because there is still a my baap attitude in these states for the civil services. और सिविल सर्विसेज अभी भी दिमाग में यही रहता है कि ये कोई माई बाप है. एप्लीकेशन लेटर पर जब नीचे सब एप्लीकेशन पूरी हो जाती है, when the application writing work is completed, still I have seen people writing yours faithfully. अरे this is a colonial mindset. Yours obediently. अरे why are you obediently writing this? अरे you are writing this application or a letter for transfer of information or communication, not showing your faith to some person in front of it. Like the result, this is a result of power imbalance, I do understand, but this is a major symbol of this माई बाप attitude, है ना? ऑफ आईएएस ऑफिसर आ जाते हैं, वो देख रहे हैं हम कि भाई गाड़ियों में एंट्री हो रही है, सायरन के साथ एंट्री हो रही है. अरे इट इज civil service is not expected to behave like this. That happens sometime. For example, on national days like Independence Day or Republic Day, those ceremonies are organized. That's a symbolic thing only. But apart from that, it is very general service. It's a normal service, है ना? It's not that कि भाई कोई इतनी बड़ी बात हो गई कि कोई आईएएस ऑफिसर आ गया. अरे आईएएस ऑफिसर है, लोग मैंने बोलते हुए सुने डिस्ट्रिक्ट के मालिक होते हैं. अरे डिस्ट्रिक्ट के मालिक वहां के लोग हैं. People are the malik of that district. A district magistrate is not the malik of that district. This my baap attitude from the civil servants must be removed completely, not reduced but removed. एक एटीट्यूडनल चेंज लाने की बहुत जरूरत है. ठीक है, लिखो इस बात को. ब्यूरोक्रेसी sometimes behaves या functions with a superiority mindset. Bureaucracy sometimes behaves with a superiority mindset. Sai, you are from Telangana?
I'm from Andhra, sir.
आंध्रा. हाँ, रेड्डी तो वही, रेड्डी ज्यादा तेलंगाना में होते हैं या आंध्रा में?
In both the states.
बोथ स्टेट्स ना. हाँ, अभी तो गवर्नमेंट रेडी की है ना शायद.
हमारे स्टेट में नायडू था,
किसकी?
चंद्रबाबू नायडू.
चंद्रबाबू नायडू. चंद्रबाबू नायडू. राइट 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 राइट. आंध्रा. I went there to Hyderabad. I was not aware. It's a like it's a thing of long back. Like I went there in 2017, I think. I was in Hyderabad and I wasn't aware about the fact that Hyderabad is now a part of Telangana, right? I there like I went there and like went there in a restaurant which is very famous for that biryani, and I went through a cab. Okay, और कैब वाले को जस्ट इन अ कॉन्वर्सेशन आई स्टेटेड कि अरे ये तो यार आंध्र प्रदेश में तो कितना डेवलपमेंट हो गया है ना. देयर इज अ airport, so from airport we took the cab to Shamshabad. There is one place Shamshabad, it's very near to the airport. So that person I told कि यार हैदराबाद में सॉरी आंध्र में तो कितना डेवलपमेंट हो गया. He got offended literally. He got offended कि no sir, how are you saying this? Telangana is in Hyderabad is in Telangana. अरे मैंने कहा यार 2-3 साल पहले तो भी आंध्रा में ही था. अभी 2 साल तुमको हुए नहीं है. ठीक है, तुम बात करते हो यहाँ था वहां था. अरे क्या मतलब इस बात का? तो इतना ज्यादा मतलब आप समझ रहे हो, इतनी ज्यादा एफिनिटी है ना लोगों में कि it was like कि नहीं नहीं सर ये तो गलत. It's in Telangana. See the beauty of Telangana. Our Telangana is this. Our Telangana is that. अरे मैंने कहा ठीक है, you developed being within Andhra only. ठीक है, ऐसा नहीं है कि भाई तुम बहुत अलग थे कुछ. तो कितना रीजनल एफिनिटी होती है ना मतलब लोगों में. It's too much. बहुत ज्यादा रीजनल एफिनिटी है. अभी है ऐसा? ये सही बात है कि नहीं सही?
It will be existing for a long time, sir.
हाँ,
It will exist for a long time, a longer
हाँ.
time.
तो ये बहुत बहुत टाइम से. एंड इवन इफ यू विल लाइक साउथ इंडियन स्टेट्स में ना एक्चुअली ड्यू टू दिस एक ये जो हिंदी डोमिनेशन उन्होंने विटनेस किया है ना, तो व्हाट हैज हैपेंड इज ना कि हिंदी के अगेंस्ट जाने की वजह से देयर ओन कल्चरल एफिनिटी हैज स्ट्रेंथेंड देयर. दिस एंटी हिंदी मूवमेंट हैज स्ट्रेंथेंड देयर कल्चरल एफिनिटी. ये थोड़ा रीजनलिज्म ज्यादा क्यों बढ़ा है? बिकॉज ऑफ एंटी हिंदी स्टांस. अगर हिंदी डोमिनेंस वहां नहीं गया होता, अगर हिंदी को नहीं फैलाने की वहां ट्राई किया होता गवर्नमेंट ने, तो वहां का रीजनलिज्म थोड़ा कम रहा होता. तो ये बात है. रीजन इज एंटी हिंदी प्रोटेस्ट. चलो तो लिखो इसमें राइट. Due to this, there is a limited engagement of the civil servants with the citizens. There is a limited engagement of the civil servant with the citizens. Next point, right? Due to this problem, the policies gets disconnected from the ground realities. The policies gets disconnected from the ground realities, है ना? Disconnected from the ground realities, and increasing public dissatisfaction is witnessed. Increasing public dissatisfaction is witnessed, and due to this there is a weak citizen centric governance. There is a weak citizen centric governance. demoralization और politicization एक ही में लिख लें क्या, एक ही ठीक है. And demoralization and fear of politicization. उनका कितनी बार हुआ था शो खेम का, उनका posted for. Now see, one IAS officer, one senior IAS officer was there. So last time so he got retired in 2025, and he got retired from Haryana Archaeological Survey Department. Okay. Now what is archaeological? Like there are very less archaeological sites in Haryana. Okay, but he was made the IAS officer under that department in Haryana. So he served the Indian Civil Services for 34 years. He was like appointed in 1991 and got retired in 2025, and during this time he was transferred 57 times. Ashok Khemka. Now Khemka was transferred on an average for 2 times in a year, and overnight also he was transferred several times. Whenever a minister was hearing that Ashok Khemka is being posted in his district, transfer him. So he was transferred to another district. Whenever that political person was hearing his name, transfer him. I don't want that type of civil service. So due to this, this is also a problem in bureaucracy. Due to this frequent transfer, frequent posting, always whenever they try to execute their work, there is a call they get. Now, recently in the news, there was Chief Minister of Delhi was actually on a people-to-people connect visit. So during that time, there was a police officer with him. He was, I think, IPS level officer, or I don't know whether he was ACP or something like that. So he was also walking with her. So when she saw that a railing coming from a house was actually encroaching on the public land, okay. Now this was a visual, okay. Now when Chief Minister asked that officer that why are you not removing this particular encroachment of the public property, by mistake, not like with intention, but by mistake he just stated that अरे हमने तो किया था, हमने तो हटाया था, आप ही के डिपार्टमेंट से कॉल आ गया था. We tried to remove this, but we got a call from your department only. So these are political pressures that builds up on the civil service, right? These are the political pressures. Whenever they try to execute their work, they get a call from the political representatives. Okay. Now yesterday only I watched a movie. Okay. Again, I forgot the name of that. Now in that, the Home Minister is shown smuggling the diamond of 120 crore by air. By air, by flight. Now the flight got hijacked. Like, the hijack was fake, but ultimately at end what happened? The Home Minister himself called the CBI officer and asked him to stop every inquiry. So these are realities. These are not just depicted in the movies. These are realities. What is happening on ground? There is always a political pressure, and due to the political pressure, the civil servants are getting demoralized. They don't really want to do whatever they want, they can do, because they are always in fear. They are always in fear of transfer. They are always in fear of all the political pressures. And everyone want their career, है ना? You want your career to be built as a successful, like you want to first enter in the services, then after getting into the services, everyone dreams of a bright career. Every IAS officer has a dream to reach to the post of principal secretary to the prime minister, है ना? So everyone dream of that, and like every officer dreams of this but has uncertainty. They don't know whether if, even if they will work really hard, even if they will do all their work properly, but still they will be able to get to the higher post or not. It's very much uncertain. They don't know whether they will get into the top posts, right? And due to which there is a reduced motivation in the officers. Okay, their behavior is always risk averse. They never want to take risk because they know if they will be taking the risk, they will be rewarded with posting, transfers, and everything. And there is always a delay in innovation. Due to the political pressure, they think that if they will innovate something. Now, recently, what happened? So, these are the examples that you can quote in your answer also. Recently, what happened? There was a civil servant who, like, I never found anything wrong in that. What he did was, he, like, वो बोलते हैं ना, क्या बोलते हैं उसको इंग्लिश में, उठक बैठ, कान पकड़ के उसने, है ना, he held his ears and did sit-ups, okay, for I think 3 or 4 times in front of public because he was not able to do his duty, okay. So he asked the public for sorry, okay. He said sorry to them, literally by heart he said sorry, but in return of that, inquiry got instituted against him, right? So that behavior was a very good behavior because after that behavior, will every person will feel friendly to him. They will start approaching him. They will start seeking help from him for any problem they are facing. But he was rewarded with punishment. So how can any other officer in time to come will even try to adopt any such innovative step? Because they will be discouraged every time, right? Write this. The causes of the demoralization and politicization are the causes of demoralization and politicization are the frequent transfers, the frequent transfers, frequent transfers of the civil servants and always growing political pressure on them to execute their work according to the wishes of their political masters. Political masters. ठीक है? They always have uncertainty regarding their career progression, despite of always sticking to a rule-based administration. Rule-based administration. ठीक है? अब ऐसे लिखो, the result of all this is the reduced motivation in civil servants, full stop. They start adopting to a risk averse behavior risk averse behavior that ultimately leads to a decline in in administrative innovations. है ना, इनोवेशन ही नहीं हो पाते हैं फिर. ठीक है. This red tapeism is a word that you will always hear in economics, ethics, governance, Indian society, and in every related topic, polity, everywhere. What is the meaning of red tapeism? Anyone know? You know what is red tapeism? सुना है कभी? Arya, Sai, have you heard about this?
No, sir.
There is just rigid rules, sir.
Okay.
It's like bureaucracy should be followed. Bureaucracy should be
What should
followed
be
too
followed?
much, sir. Bureaucracy would be followed too much, and there would be a hierarchy, sir.
See, earlier what used to happen was, na, see, have you, like, in any case, if you ever went to any old government office where there is no much technological advancements in any district or in your hometown, you must have seen that there are certain red files. There are red files that closes from the four sides, and it's sealed with a like thread. Okay. This used to happen when there were no technological advancements in the offices. Now, though, there are computers and all. But what used to happen was, it was a general saying that once your document is kept inside the thread file, it will remain there in the office itself without being opened for years. Okay. That shows that delay in administration. That shows the inefficiency in any kind of crisis situation. I mean, what you said, na, is basically what we expect from the bureaucracy, but it's not. I was asking red tapeism, hai na? Red tapeism is generally derived from this thing, okay? But nowadays also that red tape is gone, but red tapeism is still there. And that is the main reason why government is more now focusing on privatization of the sector. Government wants that when the private players will come, they will always be under the scrutiny, because private companies are profit driven. They will derive profit when employees will be working well. So that profit driven attitude is like, a government servant is paid 2 lakh rupees but doing very less work, and 2 lakh rupees is divided into 5. Everyone, the government sector is paid like 40,000, 45,000, 50,000, and is doing more duty than that particular individual. I know now you will say that, like, in private sector the salaries are very less, but yes, it's less also, it's high also. Equitable, it's not equitable. Yes, I do understand that, but still, just try to understand what I'm trying to deliver. है ना कि भाई, the person, a government servant, is doing very less work but still paid very high, but now a private sector individual will work even more than that with less expense, right? So red tapeism, so structured rigidity means the hierarchy is very hard, है ना? It's very difficult to approach. It's very difficult to get to them. है ना? So right, the problem is the complex procedures and rigid hierarchies in the administration. Due to which mostly there is a delay in decision making, full stop. During crisis situations, due to red tapeism, comma, it results into inefficiency. Okay. Also, right, there are instances of poor service delivery. Instances of poor service delivery. See, one thing I told you, now there is a, you all know about the concept of lateral entry. You don't know? Others? Have you heard about this concept of lateral entry?
I think so, sir. I think it's the one that I'm thinking of.
So they take
See,
academics directly into the government positions.
so yes, this was introduced by this present government only. So what they did is, because they thought that there is a need, so a person, for example, X person, he served SBI for 20 years, he served HDFC for 15 years, he served the top banking institutions for several years. He had, for example, 35, 40 years of experience in basically executing his work in this administrative domain in private sector. Now, the government can also utilize his experience by making him a part of the governance. Now, if he will be outsider, then he will, like, there are limitations of utilizing his experience in the government. So the government has introduced a framework that by lateral entry, at a lateral stage of your age, at a very later age, you can be inducted into the services and can be made the civil servant if you have a desired experience. Okay, if you have this particular desired experience, this came way back in, I think, 2019 or 18, it came at that time. There are several people who had been there in the, like, who had been inducted in the civil services after this lateral entry concept came, but still until this date there is a lack of any framework. There is no transparent framework that these are the basis, on the basis of which we will be selecting the officers. No transparent framework is there. And there is always a, now a person who was selected, who was inducted into the civil services at the age of 21. So after 21, he is now, for example, 55. So he is having an experience of 35 years, and like that 35 years IAS officer, and one person never had been into the government, now came at the age of 55. Now he is a lateral entry person. Now one is promoted person. Now there is always a conflict between them, right? I'm superior or you are the superior one. Okay. And also there is a rising political influence. There are allegations on the government that the government, by the concept of lateral entry, can induct all the pro-government people into the services. Okay, by using the lateral entry as a means of doing that. Okay, so you can also put a heading. Right, there is a lack of transparent framework with regards to the rules for the implementation of the policy of lateral entry. For the implementation of the policy of lateral entry. Right. Here. Next point, right? There is a rising conflict between the career bureaucrats who had been in the services and were inducted into the services by the means of entrances. And on the other side with the lateral entrance. And on the other side with the lateral entrance. In next point you can write, and there is always a risk of, and there is always a risk of political influence in selecting the candidates for giving them lateral entry. For giving them lateral entry. तो देखो एक ना टीएसआर सुब्रमण्यम केस हुआ था, उस केस में सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने डायरेक्ट किया था गवर्नमेंट को कि एक इंस्टीट्यूशनल मैकेनिज्म होना चाहिए जो कि सिविल सर्विसेज बोर्ड होगा, जो डिसाइड करेगा अबाउट द पोस्टिंग, ट्रांसफर एंड एवरीथिंग रिलेटेड टू द सिविल सर्वेंट, जिसमें कि पॉलिटिकल इंटरफेरेंस का बहुत कमी हो जाएगी, है ना, पॉलिटिकल इंटरफेरेंस कम हो जाएगा. दिस वी विल बी डूइंग इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास. ओके, बट पुट अ हेडिंग. Civil Services Board. In the next class, in the initial, I think 45 minutes, we will be covering up this civil services wala topic, and or I think 1.5 hours will be more required for this. After which we will be moving on to the next topic, that is your आपका फिर गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज करेंगे या फिर कौन सा करेंगे, ये आपका डेवलपमेंटल प्रोसेसेस कर लेंगे, ठीक है. सो देन वी विल बी डूइंग द डेवलपमेंटल प्रोसेसेस. अंटिल देन एनी क्वेश्चन कम इन आर्या साई. अच्छा ठीक है, मैं शेयर करता हूँ अब. हाँ यस.
I have a doubt regarding this IAS policy making. You said that civil servants are will analyze the financial, legal, and administrative of the policy, right? But legal will be more compliant with the judiciary, right? If any judiciary board.
Legal is not judicial. See, there is judiciary. Okay, it is called as the doctrine of checks and balances. What happens here? Judiciary except, I am saying, except Article 142 of the Constitution, where it is mentioned that for the dispensation of justice, judiciary can recourse to any mean whatsoever required. It was, as far as I recall, it was last in the major landmark case used in the Ayodhya Ram Mandir dispute, okay, where judiciary used this article to allocate that particular piece of land to Ram Mandir, okay. Other than that, the judiciary checks or basically adjudicate the disputes, okay, and it gives compensation, decree, order, judgment, or whatsoever be, using two things. One more thing is punishment. In criminal cases, it's punishment. In civil cases, it's compensation. Using two things. On one side, it is the constitution, and on the other side, it is the law that is made by the legislature. And in legislature, for the law, the bill is presented by the ministry. In the Ministry of Legal Affairs, it's the department that prepares the draft of the law, and in the department there is always a civil servant that drafts that particular bill, according to which the judiciary pronounces the judgment. For example, it is the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita of 2023. Earlier to that, it was IPC 1860 that was used. Like, for example, a person committed a murder. Now, it was on judiciary to check whether murder has been committed or not, but it is the law that prescribes what punishment will be given by the judiciary, and that legal affair is handled by the bureaucrats, technicalities of those legal matters. Judiciary cannot pronounce the punishment for any period of time, whatever they want. They have to necessarily depend on the law of the land. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Any other doubt? बताओ कोई और? All clear? Chalo. So we will be continuing in the next class. All right? Okay. Bye bye.